Thanksgiving. I'm Jamie Rhee, the Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Aviation, and we are honored today to host Secretary Buttigieg and all of you to make an important announcement on one of the busiest travel weeks of the year. At the CDA, we appreciate the valuable role O'Hare and Midway airports play in connecting people. And it's our job to make sure that we provide a safe, secure, and friendly environment for the 1.7 million people who will travel through Chicago's airports this week on their way to a Thanksgiving dinner table. The most important thing we can do to elevate that travel experience is to rethink our facilities. Through today's announcement, we'll be able to replace the structure we're standing in this morning with a modern, state-of-the-art development we will call the O'Hare Global Terminal, or OGT. When it opens, the O'Hare Global Terminal will be one of the most transformative terminal investments in America, more than doubling the amount of space in the existing Terminal 2 and allowing for the integration of international and domestic operations for our hub carriers, United and American Airlines. Together, the two satellite concourses, these developments will be the centerpiece of O'Hare 21, an airport redevelopment program with an extremely talented project team that has already delivered so much this year. We've also, at Terminal 5, we're in the final months of a $1.3 billion expansion and renovation project that has already opened 7 new gates since this summer, with another 3 gates coming online in the months ahead. We've also broken ground on a new 6-story parking garage at Terminal 5 and moved Delta Airlines from its longtime home here in Terminal 2 to its newly renovated space in Terminal 5. This past summer, construction crews completed a utility pavement project just right beneath us in the arrival lanes of O'Hare's main terminal. And this spring, we launched 24/7 service on the expanded airport transit system, offering a fully automated, convenient ride between O'Hare's 4 terminals and the multimodal facility on Zemke Road. Along with Mayor Lightfoot, we appreciate the continued support from the Federal Aviation Administration for the modernization of O'Hare through the agency's review of the terminal area plan's environmental assessment. We're extremely fortunate that when the process is complete, the scope of O'Hare 21 capital program will align closely with the Biden administration's infrastructure priorities and funding opportunities available through the bipartisan infrastructure law. We're incredibly thankful for the support of the FAA, the Department of Transportation, the Illinois delegation, and local labor leaders that have given CDA all of these resources and assistance through these unprecedented times to help us prepare for the future. At the CDA, we're consistently thinking about who is building the future of aviation, particularly through our work with diverse businesses of all sizes. But that's not all. Under Mayor Lightfoot's leadership, we're making a concerted effort to build an interest in aviation in the generations to come. We're doing that through youth activity books, summer job opportunities, curriculum development with local school leaders, and community engagement events in all of 77 community areas throughout Chicago. And all of this phenomenal work will further support what happens next at O'Hare. And I'd like to now invite my boss, our mayor, up to the podium to tell you more about it. Please give a warm welcome to Mayor Lori E. Lightfoot.
There must be something exciting happening at O'Hare today. Nice crowd. I'm grateful for everyone who's here. Let me first thank Jamie Rhee, who I believe is the best airport administrator in the country. You can clap for that. Jamie and I have known each other for a very long time, and I think she was meant for this role. She reminded me this morning that she started out here as a foreign language interpreter many years ago, and I am just extraordinarily grateful for everything that she's done to make sure that O'Hare Airport keeps leading on a global stage, even through a pandemic. The work that's been done has just been extraordinary, and we wouldn't be here, Jamie, without your leadership. So thank you so much. I'm also grateful for the other leadership that's here, Representative Garcia, Senate President Harmon, Transportation Committee Chairman Howard Brookins, and our newly minted state senator. As you can see, Anything related to O'Hare is a team sport. While it's important for Chicago, it's incredibly important for Chicagoland and for Illinois. So everything that we do here has a ripple effect across the entire Midwest, and I'm grateful for the support of the leaders who are here. And of course, I've got to thank our friends in organized labor, and I'll talk in a moment about that. But this is about making sure that we remain competitive on a global stage, that we continue to build great jobs here so people can live a good life. And that starts with making sure that our friends in organized labor have the opportunity to participate in the building of this next phase of O'Hare International Airport. And I also want to thank, of course, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. He can't say that O'Hare is his favorite airport, but I'm going to say it because it's the best in the world. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and your team for everything that you've done. We are so grateful that you were able to take the time to be here with us this morning for such an important announcement. So I want to say on behalf of our city that I'm grateful to all of the people here for advancing our city's transportation strengths and our exceptional connectivity, not only to the Midwest, but to the rest of the world. The federal government has been an important partner when it comes to modernizing our airport. And I want to thank not only the Secretary, but President Biden for providing additional funding to Chicago's transportation network through the bipartisan infrastructure law. O'Hare Airport, as many of you know, has been honored to receive federal support really from the very beginning, and particularly when President John F. Kennedy was here in 1963. He attended the dedication for this very terminal. At that time, President Kennedy remarked upon how modern and expansive O'Hare Airport was, saying that no other airport served so many people and calling it the most extraordinary airport in the world. That was certainly true in 1963, and it's true today. We have continued on a path of progress through the years to make sure that O'Hare is the most extraordinary airport in the world. And now, in the presence of Secretary Buttigieg, we are once again reaffirmed with federal support that our airports are modern, efficient, and world-class. And that brings us to today's announcement. As Commissioner Rhee previewed for you, we are here today to celebrate a key milestone in our $12 billion O'Hare 21 capital improvement program. Following a thorough, multi-year environmental review, the FAA has officially approved our plan for new construction. This approval was essential for us to move forward on our next big phase of modernizing this airport, and we are grateful to the FAA for their approval of this plan, the airport's terminal area plan. This work will replace, as the Commissioner said, this very terminal that we're in, the oldest facility here at O'Hare, transforming it into the O'Hare Global Terminal. The first projects will be completed will be the construction of 2 new satellite concourses that will provide approximately 1.3 million feet of gate and amenity space, dramatically expanding the airport's ability to accommodate aircrafts of all sizes. This is a big deal for us. We will next launch the O'Hare Global Terminal, one of the most significant terminal developments in America, which will transform the terminal we currently stand in and more than double the amount of space. If you haven't seen some of the initial plans by the gang group, you're missing out. It is an incredible treat. We are extraordinarily excited about putting these plans into action. The completion of this $7.1 billion terminal expansion project, among other ongoing capital improvements, will only further the airport's strengths and capabilities. The terminal area plan, in particular, will improve the passenger experience with updated facilities and amenities, reduce air taxiing times and wait times for gates, and cohesively integrate all 4 O'Hare terminal facilities and provide for significantly improved domestic and international connections. I must also thank our airline partners for their continued support and commitment of this project and for their funding support. We wouldn't be here today without our airline partners and their committed dedication to modernizing this incredibly important airport. O'Hare 21 will also deepen the airport's already profound economic impact on our city and our region. Currently, O'Hare contributes $65 billion to our regional GDP. You all must not have heard me, so I'm going to repeat it again. $65 billion to our regional GDP. That is incredibly important, not only for our state, but for the entire region. And O'Hare provides 615,000 annual full-time equivalent jobs, which represents 10% of our regional employment. O'Hare 21 will add to this impact by creating more than 26,000 new construction jobs. Yes, clap for that. And importantly, something near and dear to me, this project continues our administration's support of minority and women-owned firms, as at least $489.1 million has been committed to MBEs and WBEs through O'Hare 21. And ladies and gentlemen, it's thanks to projects like these, as well as the airport's expansive workforce, that O'Hare continues to maintain its status as one of the busiest airports in the world. And in fact, just recently we announced that Chicago is now one of only 5 cities in the world to offer direct flights to every continent. For that reason and more, I'm proud to continue launching projects that improve the passenger experience, increase our capacity to serve millions of travelers from all over the world every year, and create jobs, jobs, jobs. And not only do airport enhancements put our city on the map as a global transportation hub, but this work brings countless benefits to our entire city, especially our underserved communities. Under my administration, the Airport Authority has deepened its commitment to diversity and inclusion by reimagining contracting processes with a focus on equity and by building a diverse workforce. By the end of the year, CDA will spend $191 million contracting with MBEs and WBEs certified firms, opening up doors of socioeconomic opportunities for firms that had not previously had access to this incredible economic engine we call O'Hare. And furthermore, the Chicago Department of Aviation leads expansive efforts to hire residents from every neighborhood and all walks of life, currently employing almost 1,200 Chicagoans here at the airport. Additionally, this construction work will be done by union labor. I thought that would bring a smile to several faces in the audience, providing that many more good-paying jobs to Chicagoans and Illinoisans who are part of organized labor in our city and our region. And of course, this revolutionary project is not the only one taking place at O'Hare. Through O'Hare 21, we will continue to make upgrades, especially in our $1.3 billion Terminal 5 renovation project, with CDA currently finalizing plans for a grand opening of Terminal 5's new eastern extension early next year. And we expect construction on the O'Hare Global Terminal project to be complete by 2030. So when it's all said and done, ladies and gentlemen, O'Hare will be and maintain its status as the greatest airport in the 21st century. So I want to thank everyone for being here, our elected officials who we need support, state and local, I want to thank, and federal, and I want to thank all of our friends in organized labor. I want to thank the airlines, and especially I want to thank the team that is working tirelessly every day to make sure that we not only say we're the greatest, but we do it through our works and deeds to make the traveling experience the best possible in the world. And with that, I'd welcome Secretary Buttigieg to say a few words. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Lightfoot. As you know, I'm a former mayor, got to know the mayor as part of the community of mayors, and the job has only become more demanding since I wore the title. And Chicago has a lot to be proud of right now, and I'm proud to be part of this with you today. Thank you. Commissioner Rhee, you've got a lot to be proud of and a lot on your plate right now. And excited to be with you and to see all of the great visions for what is to come. Representative Garcia, so thankful to you and your colleagues. I hope everybody remembers that whenever something is being built with funds from the bipartisan infrastructure law, the reason we're able to do that is because the representative and his colleagues, including so many from your delegation here in Illinois, Representatives Quigley and Krishnamurthy from this area, and I think all of your House Democrats, the occasional House Republican, maybe not from Illinois, supporting this law, but they did it even after it was declared dead. And of course, your terrific senators Duckworth and Durbin made that happen too, and we're thankful for it. Now, you're right, Mayor, I don't have a favorite airport. I'm not allowed to. But I will say that I have a memory for every corner of this airport. From that Illinois lottery booth where I would pass a little time with my dad before getting on a plane that would take us to the country where he immigrated from, where I could learn about where I came from, to being the kind of business traveler who actually knew which days and times of day it was wiser to have a taxi drop you at Terminal 2, even if you were flying out of Terminal 1, and vice versa, to going so far as to propose to my husband Chasten over at Terminal Gate B5. And as I said when the president asked me to take on this job, don't let anybody tell you that O'Hare can't be romantic. It's, of course, most important and most special, not because of my memories or any one traveler's personal connection to this place, but because it is an absolute powerhouse that in turn makes Chicago and Chicagoland a powerhouse for the American economy. And that's what we're talking about today. As the mayor said, jobs, jobs, jobs. The jobs that will be associated with a decade worth of construction here, and I'm so pleased to see our building trades friends who are going to make sure that that gets done right. And we're excited to create the good paying union jobs that are coming with a generation of construction. The jobs of all the people who work here, from the air traffic controllers that I was just spending time with up in the tower, to of course the flight crews, the pilots and the flight attendants, and the ground crews and the mechanics, but also workers who don't get enough recognition, who are indispensable to these places operating, like those who work at the concessions here, and the people who are pushing the wheelchairs, everybody indispensable to the symphony that is a major international airport working properly. And then all of the other jobs that are part of that, how many billion? $65 billion contribution to this economic region that the mayor described. Jobs that are supported by the existence of this airport. And we're living at a time when folks understand more and more the importance of our airports for supply chains as well as for passenger travel. And we've got to make sure both of those are running as efficiently as possible. That's part of what this new terminal is going to be part of. And later today, I'll have a chance to meet more of those workers who are going to be part of that story. And later we'll be on the south side where the Aviation Institute of Maintenance is creating students for good paying jobs as aviation technicians. And we're excited to see that firsthand. If there has been one lesson, especially of the last couple challenging years for America's transportation system, it is that the most important part of our transportation systems is people. The people who make it all work and the people who count on it. And of course, the holiday season gets us thinking about that in particular. Look no further than the beginning and the end of everyone's favorite holiday-themed rom-com, Love Actually. Our hearts beat for the kinds of connections that are made possible through the ability to get in and out of a community safely, and we're very focused on that too. It's why we've been doing everything we can to make sure air travel runs smoothly as we go into the Thanksgiving and Christmas and other winter holidays. We are delighted that demand is returning like nobody thought possible, with more and more passengers having the income and the desire to take to the skies. But we also know that means airlines have to continue taking steps to address the challenges of servicing those tickets that they sell. It's why we put up an airline customer service dashboard to make sure that before you buy a ticket, you can see, airline by airline, how you will be treated in the event of a cancellation or a disruption, from hotels and meal vouchers to free rebooking. And I want to make sure passengers know that if you are canceled or significantly delayed, you are required to receive a full refund if you ask for one. And if you have trouble getting one, let us know, because we have helped get hundreds of thousands of passengers, hundreds of millions of dollars in refunds just in the last couple of years alone. That's just some of what we're doing right now to help air travelers. But one of the best things we can do to help air travelers is make sure that we have great airports in this country. When you're traveling, you need to have outlets to charge a phone and laptop. If you're relying on a wheelchair, you need to have accessible ways to get where you need to be. If you're a parent of young children, as Chasten and I have discovered, you really need to have a good spot to change a little one once or twice or 3 or perhaps 4 times during a layover. These are just some of the things we're working to deliver right now, again, largely thanks to funding through that bipartisan infrastructure law that the President signed just over a year ago. We've already funded a new terminal in Pittsburgh, new gates in Orlando, new bathrooms in Chattanooga, better escalators in Huntsville. In South Dakota, there's a general aviation terminal that's a mobile home right now. We're paying with funds from the infrastructure bill just to get a permanent brick and mortar building there. Faster security checkpoints, baggage drop-off systems like what we're doing in Denver, better check-in counters, custom areas, all of the things it takes to make it possible to get where you're needing to go safely and conveniently. So there is a lot of magic that goes into aviation, and there's a lot of good old-fashioned blocking and tackling on the part of the leaders, on the part of the workers, and on the part of U.S. Department of Transportation. What I want everybody to know is that our department is here to make sure that passengers are served with world-class air service here at this gateway to the rest of the world that helps make the American economy what it is. So congratulations to everybody on today's announcement, and we're looking forward to more big things to come.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Secretary. Appreciate that. Members of the media, Jackie and I will come down, bring the mic to you. 2 questions per reporter. We'll start with on topic only with Maddie from the Tribune.
Thank you. Hi, yes, I'm from the Tribune. I was just wondering if you could outline some of the next steps. I know you have this green light from the FAA, so when could construction really start with that satellite constellation?
Yeah, that sounds like the CDA question.
Great, thank you so much. So right now, our global terminal, the connecting tunnel that will connect that to the 2 satellites is about 30% design. So we're going to continue to have those critical discussions with our airline partners to move forward, but a lot of enabling work is already underway. Thank you.
Raj, Reuters.
Okay, I would.
Mr. Secretary, you mentioned about holiday travel. How confident are you that airlines are prepared to handle the holiday travel rush? And should we expect any kind of chaos that we saw during the summer travel season?
So we're definitely in better shape than we were this summer. I was extremely concerned about the delays and cancellations we saw in the early part of the summer. That's when I called on airlines to take steps like more realistic scheduling, so that they were only selling tickets they knew they could serve. More aggressive hiring, including stepped up pay, and we've seen a number of airlines take those steps. And then redoubling our efforts on things like rulemakings to support customer service. All of that, I think, has contributed to real improvements. I would not say we're out of the woods yet, but I am cautiously optimistic about this week being off to a good start, and we're going to be watching this very closely as we go into the other peak holiday travel times that are coming in the next few weeks.
Thanks, Secretary. Sally, Fox.
Hi, Sally Schulze from Fox 32. Today you're talking about the future of aviation. Of course, a lot of people just want to know about Wednesday when they get on those airlines. I know you're talking about it's better than where we were in the summer and that airlines should be prepared, but what if a lot of employees are calling in sick? What if we have those weather things? What can you say to people who are very worried that they are going to face those same nightmares?
Well, the biggest thing I want passengers to know is that our department has your back. First of all, with transparency, and then secondly, with enforcement. That's what we're doing with things like the announcement a few days ago that with millions of dollars in fines, we have helped to get hundreds of millions of dollars in refunds to passengers who did get stuck. Our overall goal, of course, is to make sure that doesn't happen in the first place. Now, we live in a world, especially with Midwestern weather, where the cancellation rate's never going to be zero. But when it gets as high as 3 or 4%, which is what we saw in the summer, that is enough to cascade through the system, and it can take days to recover. Right now, we're seeing it closer to between 1% and 2%. That's a rate of sometimes inevitable cancellations that the system can handle in terms of people getting rebooked and taken care of. We're going to continue watching this very closely and making sure that we're making operational improvements and partnering with airlines that do seek to do the right thing. For example, deconflicting airspace, understanding each other's operations. I'll give you an example that's not here in the Chicago area, but will affect a lot of Chicago passengers. In Florida, we have several complicating factors at the same time. A lot of extreme weather, military activity, an increasing number of commercial space launches, and staffing issues sometimes on the air traffic control side, in addition to demand that in some cases actually higher than it was before the pandemic. There's no way we can prepare for that without sitting sometimes daily side by side with FAA and the airlines to troubleshoot issues. And when there's an opportunity to do that, we're doing that, as well as the broader steps to hold airlines accountable for how they treat passengers.
Sarah, ABC.
Probably a question for the commissioner. Just in terms of this project, when will you break ground actually on this new terminal? And also, since it's not going to be complete for another 7 years, what kind of advice do you have for passengers who are going to have to end up putting up with years of construction?
So, one of the things that we take very seriously is our obligation not only to modernize the facilities, but do it in the least impactful way. And so that's something we're going to continue to do. We've got good experience in doing that with Terminal 5 opening up and the building of a brand new 6-story parking garage over there. It does take sometimes a step back to take 2 forward. We're going to constantly put that at the forefront, the customer experience. Like I said, we're currently at 30% design. So we're going to continue designing, continue working with our airline partners and identifying perhaps best practices and new ways to deliver this project. But it'll be delivered in phases, with the first phase being the Satellite 1 for the gates off of the B concourse in Terminal 1, or C concourse in Terminal 1.
Greg Hines, Cranes.
2 questions, one for the Commissioner, one for the Secretary. Commissioner, the total cost of this project was estimated $8.5 billion when it was unveiled in 2019. What's the current estimate?
So the project was in 2018, and it was $8.5 billion with escalation each year. So we've provided for escalation. It also had pre-approved projects, it had existing projects, and then there are currently projects underway that we are negotiating for additional approvals with our airline partners. And so, for example, we're going to continue to look at ways to meet the modern demand and working directly with them. So right now, that is, we put out the public, the documents and the bond offering we had not long ago detail out exactly how we got to that number. But it is escalation that has included that, as well as some new projects that have been added since that time.
Current figure. So
12.1 is what was in the offering statements that we released, and I might add that we were one of the only airports to receive an upgrade in our bond, and out of 2 different rating agencies. So we came out of COVID better than we went in our financials. Thank you.
And Mr. Secretary, the Commissioner clearly said she'd like to get some AIP money or other federal funds for this. What are the odds of that happening?
Well, I can't speak to a competitive process before we make an announcement, but I certainly would not be surprised to see several applications for our programs come in from O'Hare, and I would not be surprised to see a lot of strong applications come in.
Marty, Daily Herald.
I have 2 questions, one for the Secretary and one for Commissioner Rhee. In a few years, a toll road is going to break into the west side of O'Hare, and there will be a new western entrance at O'Hare. So how does all these improvements tie in for what people coming to the west side can expect for getting to the new terminals? Is there a western terminal on the horizon?
So obviously, ingress and egress out of O'Hare is severely impacted because there is only one way in and out. And we often joke about the Elgin-O'Hare Expressway, which did not go to Elgin or O'Hare, will now finally connect those critical pieces. What we'll really do is provide a roundabout of O'Hare, diverting traffic unnecessarily out of the core. So it will make it more seamless to get to O'Hare. We're currently working with IDOT on additional changes to be through their capital expenditures on the entrance into O'Hare and sort of untangling all of that I-294, I-190, the Rosemont exits. So there's a lot of work being done on the ground transportation. As far as triggers, we do have built into the 2018 Airport Use and Lease Agreement certain triggers that once we reach those in passenger count, it does unlock additional funding for West Side development. What is funded is it will be an employee parking lot, which will continue to divert that unnecessary traffic for all of our airline partners to operate off of the West Side. So that is funded and is part of phase 1 for us.
Julian Cruz, WGN.
One more quick one for the Secretary. You know, one basic need for passengers is to have enough room when they sit in their airplane seat. And you know, there's been concerns about shrinking seats. I believe there's some minimum seat standard rulemaking going on. Can you update on the status of that?
Yeah, so that is a process based on safety, and the FAA has that based on the concerns about what level of shrinking seats could have an impact on safety. I don't have anything to say that's determinative about that beyond the process that's played out. There is, though, there's a safety level, which is a floor, and then there's customer service concern, which goes beyond that. And that's where we think it's an example of the importance of transparency, so customers know what different airlines will do, that not all airlines are alike. And it's something we're bearing in mind as we continue to expand our new customer service dashboard and consider other elements to introduce to it in addition to the first round, which was those things about what to expect if you get a cancellation or delay.
Julian Cruz, WGN.
Secretary Buttigieg, welcome to Chicago. And just wanted to ask you, we've done some stories recently with flight attendants complaining about the uptick in assaults that they've experienced on board airplanes. And they've pointed to certain things regarding no-fly lists that the airlines might maintain about belligerent or violent passengers, and complaining that that no-fly list doesn't get shared between airlines. And the end result is you might have an individual who allegedly assaults a flight attendant, and then they get put on another flight the next day. Is there anything that your agency can do to try to deal with this situation? Is this something that's in the works?
Yeah, first of all, let me reiterate that it is completely unacceptable to mistreat a member of a flight crew. And when we see these cases of unruly passengers, they need to know that they are not only harassing a flight crew, but endangering entire aircraft full of passengers. For that reason, the FAA has adopted a very strong stance, and a number of these unruly travelers have been held to account with major penalties. So we want to make sure that the deterrence is there, and I think that's part of why, overall, compared to the worst days, we've seen a drop in the number of those incidents, although any number above zero is unacceptable. I do think it would be constructive for the airlines to talk about how to establish some sort of data sharing process that would enable them to let one another know about these issues that they've had with the passenger, but obviously that's not an area where I can tell the airlines what to do. I do think it would be something worth exploring.
Thanks, Secretary. Thanks, Mayor. That's a wrap, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.